Give me 15 minutes and you'll never suffer your past again. What you're about to see has never been shared on YouTube before. Have you ever noticed that the past doesn't fade? It just waits for you. See, on tonight, we're talking about ending suffering by facing the past. The reason is because if you try and convince yourself that you're so forward thinking, that the past is behind you, you don't have to think about it anymore, you're just on to the next. The problem is that that past does not fade. It just waits for you. Maybe that means a slight look that someone gives you that reminds you of the person who, maybe it's a slight touch that someone gives you that reminds you of the person who, the situation that. You cannot end suffering until you face your past. Because whatever caused the suffering in the past, if it's not dealt with, it just resurfaces at the most inconvenient moment, right when you wish it wouldn't. And so on tonight's broadcast, what we're doing is dealing with the past, healing the past. Because we understand that you cannot end generational trauma until you deal with the energy that carries it. It's going to be important that we are brave when we dig into those past memories, because don't you notice that it's the memories of our worst day that come and assault us on our best day? There's that one little reminder that you weren't always so. What if they find out that how would you look if they discovered who you really were? All the ideas of the past, all the ideas of who we have been. If we're not dealing with the root problem, we're doomed to cycle back through that exact same situation over and over again. And so, with that said, if you're ready to move beyond fear, welcome here. I'm Dr. Shawn, and I believe you do not need years to heal. You just need one real breakthrough. That's why I invented Transcendent Psychology, and I test it in the real world on real people in my game show, Countdown to Breakthrough, the only game show that heals your soul. We're talking about moving beyond suffering by facing your past. What I want to do right now is move to a clip of Countdown to Breakthrough, where I'm encountering people on the street and helping them transform their past in under 7 minutes. What's the feeling?
Confusion, lost, not knowing what to do in the situation.
Okay. But that's when I remember my research. In the year 2000, Russell Targ, a CIA physicist, said that human consciousness exists outside of the limits of time and space, and that with the right and proper mental focus, the mind can travel from the past to heal the present. And it hits me. If I can get these strangers to create the right mental focus, I can help them discover a breakthrough that alters their past in the present and changes their future. And mine too. I plan to do it in 7 minutes or less. But the key for all of this to work is focus. This is the important part. We start talking about Russell Targ. The idea is this. Russell Targ is making the argument that the past is fluid, that time itself is fluid, that with the appropriate mental control, it is actually possible to manipulate the past. I believe there's a principle in here that we can learn from. And the principle is that because the past is not set in stone, you can change it. And the reason, I'm gonna make sure I'm in the light here. And the reason you can change the past is because you It's because you are consciousness. And so if we can understand that the past is not set in stone, but is actually a living force you can shape to your will. The reason you are able to do that is because you are consciousness. And so we arrive at probably the most important principle of the night, which is that the past changes when you change. See, because you are that consciousness, when we're talking about going into the past and facing the past, what we're really talking about is facing the ideas about who you are, facing your own identity, or at least the identities that you falsely believed were your own. And we can't do that until we understand who we actually are, until we come back to this notion that our names were given to us. Our bodies, they change, they come and go, they age. Our relationships, they change, they come and go. But there is that which is within us that does not change, that does not come and go. What is that thing? Until we get very, very clear on who that core identity is, we'll always be subject to the whims of the identities that other people have told us we are. That our references, our memories have persuaded us that we are. I was working with somebody this past week in preparation for this show. We're working through this exercise and we're facing the past together. I realized that sometimes I want to get into the really cool stuff that I forget to make sure that we're on the same page when we start. And that same page is that we must understand that we are more than our bodies. That the body is inside of consciousness. If you were to lose consciousness right now, the entire room, your body, your relationships, everything fades away. Without consciousness, the body, the relationships, the memories, none of it is known. The world is not known. Why then give such primacy over to the world, over to the relationships, over to what somebody did, when the truth is that each of these exists within you? That's why we say the past does not change until you change. How could it? You see, the past exists within you. It exists within you. And therefore, you have the capacity to change it. But a superficial change ain't gonna cut it. This requires a deeper change, one that happens at the root identity level. We must come to understand ourselves as consciousness. You may say, oh, but I already do. Oh, okay. Well, then we must remember who we are as consciousness. Because if we don't, the lesser identities will tack on their problems and tack on their demons until it weighs you, draining your life force, draining your energy, all for you to die and realize that, oh, you know what? None of that was real in the first place. You do not want to get to the end of your life and recognize the truth that I'm telling you right now, which is that the lesser identities, these come and go. But to take hold of them and own them and allow their stories to become your story, that's the heart of all suffering. That's why tonight we're talking about ending suffering by facing the past, recognizing that when we deal with the past, we're actually dealing with ourselves. We understand the principle that the past does not change until you change. But can we also recognize the pattern? I like talking in terms of principle, pattern, and the path forward. So we get the principle I can't wait for y'all to tell me I need a bigger board. You get the principle that the past changes when you change. But what about the pattern? What's the pattern? That's what I like. I like understanding the pattern behind phenomena because then it's easier to detect the details necessary for discerning what to do about the pattern. The pattern, I'm just write this. The pattern is that all trauma, make sure you see that. The pattern is that all trauma is stored in the body as energy, that the past lives inside of you. When it is negatively codified, it lives inside of you as stored energy. Popular, I think, New York Times best-selling book is, the body keeps the score. Fantastic. Okay, but check this out. So, the pattern is that trauma is living inside of the body, but it's also deeply ingrained inside of your mind. That the emotional blockages that affect your nervous system based off of cogitations of the past, based off of memories that assault you when you are least thinking about them, based off of the negative traumas that have occurred in your own life, all that gets stored. That's why, if you notice, we can't run away from the past. The past never fades, it just waits. That energy just lies dormant until it is time to resurface and contaminate your thoughts, contaminate your thinking, get you blaming somebody. Be it parents who didn't do what you thought they should have, be it a spouse, be it the government, whatever. The point is that it's pulling you off center and it's pulling you deeper and deeper into a lesser identity that is not consciousness. So once we understand that that is the pattern, then we need to understand the path. Path is the easiest part. Hmm. That when you release, oh, you can't even see this now. When you release this stored trauma, this energy in the body, when you find a way to let go, you break the cycle. And that cycle is the generational trauma cycles and the cycle of taking and internalizing the pain that happened to you and passing it on to someone else. The future cycles. So we understand the principle. The past changes when you change. We understand the pattern that past lives inside of your body stored as energy. And we understand the path forward, which is that release that energy. You release the cycle. If I am consciousness and all of the world and its history happens within me, it cannot happen if consciousness is not here, and therefore cannot happen without consciousness, then might that mean that even my thoughts, my memories, that were I to stand back as consciousness and observe them, detach from them, I could take perhaps authority over them? Might it be possible? When you understand the principle, the pattern, and the path, you are in control of your past. If this serves you, write in the comments, served.